I wanted to share and talk about my first ultra run and experience because I hope that someone can learn from it and they can take some of the things I've seen as I've developed as a runner so they can apply it to themselves. And so I'm going to talk about a 54-mile run I did, and this was my very first ultra, and I did it without running more than 13 miles before I decided to do it. So I kind of jumped fast. Like I did longer 20-miler runs, maybe a 30-miler to get up to 54 miles. When I decided I wanted to do an ultra, the furthest I ran was a half marathon. So I made quite the jump. And in fact, I actually ran a half marathon. It was like my fourth or fifth half marathon. And then I was like, I want to do a 100-mile race. So this 54-mile run was training for that 100-mile race. And it was tough. And I just didn't know what I was getting myself into. But what had happened is I just moved from St. George, Utah to Alaska. I was with my best friend and my dog. And we were exploring Alaska. I was there for about 3 months. And I just had this path that I would go run up and down. It was a trail a little ways from the road. Sometimes there'd be other people walking. And what I was training for was a 100-mile race and a 102-mile race. And the way this race was formatted is every 90 minutes you have to complete a 6-mile loop. And if you finish that loop early, then you have to wait until that 90 minutes is up and everyone starts together on the next lap. And it's like a last one standing format. They just cap it at 102. A lot of last one standing races keep going until there's one person left. This one just stops at 102 miles, so 17 6-mile laps. And so I was training for that. And so I decided, well, maybe it'd be a good idea to do about 50 miles a couple months out from the race so I can at least I've gone that far and kind of know what I'm getting myself into. And so what I did is I planned just running out 3 miles and 3 miles back to do a 6-mile out and back to simulate the race, which I think is very healthy and helpful. If you're training for a race or you're about to do something you've never done, I think you should be as specific as possible. And so what I did was that format where I did 6 miles every 90 minutes. I would wait and then I would go run the next 6 miles, and I was trying to simulate the race as best as possible. I think that's great for any 5K, marathon, 100-miler, whatever it is specifying as close to your race as possible as you get closer to the race. And so I started to figure out how to fuel and refill my water bottles in that time frame and how to pace myself. But this is what I wanted to get to, is I just thought it was kind of interesting or kind of funny, honestly, is I had this running playlist, not music, like I had my music, but I had this YouTube playlist that was full of these motivational videos of David Goggins and Jocko Willink, and there's this guy who does poetry. I can't remember his name right now, but he does poetry when it comes to running. And I remember getting around to mile 40 or something like that and being like, what the fuck am I doing? Like I had not been training as long as most people do when it comes to getting ready for ultras. I had not had years in the sport. I was just kind of making a big leap. And I remember listening to the Jocko Willink Good video. I highly recommend that one. Jocko Willink Good. You could search that. It's a great video. It's just the idea of like whenever anything's happening, your response should be good. It locks you in. I use that to this day. And then I was listening to some other things, but I just remember crying, like just out in the middle of Anchorage, Alaska, on this trail with people walking by because I was in so much pain. Like I had never gone that far before. And it really put into perspective how hard it was going to be to double that. So I did 54 miles. Like I set my goal for 54 miles and I finished it. I just walked a lot. I cried a little bit because it was just so tough. And it really made me, in a weird way, feel confident because I had now gone 54 miles. It also made me insecure because I was like, wow, I'm about to basically double this. And like fast track, when I did the actual race, I only made it 66 miles. People laugh when I say only made it 66 miles, but my goal was 102. And it was all these things leading up to not finishing that race that made me realize preparation was everything. And we know you should be prepared and you should train. But when I didn't do the full 102, I was like, I need to prepare more. I need to be more committed. And I think a good way to look at failure is, let me commit more. Like if you failed something in a lot of situations, you probably weren't prepared enough. And maybe you couldn't have been prepared enough because you don't know. Like you don't know what you don't know, right? And so you fail and you learn things and you apply them. And so when I did 66 miles and dropped out of the race, I spent that and dedicated that next year of my life to finishing the 102-mile race. And so that meant more podcasts, more books on running, more training, just being better with my nutrition and recovering better. And I started to implement all these things. And I think the point of this is I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't take a chance. Like if I didn't say, fuck it, let me try 54 miles or let me sign up for a 100-mile race, I would have never gotten to the point where I failed, and where I failed is where I learned the most. I love succeeding and accomplishing goals, but I don't really learn a lot from that. Like, yeah, I'm happy or I feel fulfilled that I accomplished whatever I set my mind to. I learned from the failures. And I think if you could get something from this video, hopefully it's that you should watch the Jocko Good video. Jocko Willink Good. It's a great video. And on top of that, you have to take the chance, because either way, if you accomplish it or you fail, you still win. Because with the failure, if you take that and learn from it, you will continue progressing towards your goal. So hopefully this video is a reminder or an offer to take the chance, whether it's with running or something in life, because you're only going to learn by taking the chance. And because I was dumb enough or naive enough to just be like, all right, let's sign up for a 100-miler, and all right, let's just do 54 miles by myself with no support, I learned so much that got me to where I am now, and I'm happy about where I am now. It's because I took the chance. So if you like running content, ultras, training, things like that, that's what this channel is about. I'm ultimately trying to help people enjoy running more, avoid injury, learn from my mistakes, and just be fulfilled and deepen their connection and relationship with running. So if you like that, subscribe. If not, either way, I hope you got something out of this video, and I hope I get to see you in another video sometime soon. Peace.